Excited to have everybody here today. We're going to be talking about Microsoft's GitHub in just a second.
No.
All right. Hi, Kiana. Hi, everyone. My name is Tori, and I work on our corporate team at NCOSE, and we are going to be talking about Microsoft's GitHub today.
All right, Victoria, I'm just going to jump in with some questions for you, okay?
Yeah.
So to get started, let's go over the question probably a lot of people may actually want to know, and what is GitHub?
Yeah, so GitHub is owned by Microsoft, and it is a code hosting and version control platform that basically allows software developers to put their codes on this website, and then people can collaborate on it, much like, imagine like Google Docs, but for software developers. And then you can also communicate with different developers and view different projects, download them, and it's basically just for people to create technology.
Thank you. So how does GitHub contribute to the issue of image-based sexual abuse?
Yeah, so you wouldn't think that a software hosting platform would contribute to IBSA or image-based sexual abuse, but actually GitHub hosts repositories, which is what they call their projects, and those have codes that create sexually exploitative technology, like the Deep Nude app, where you might have seen in the news recently. In the US, there's lots of high schools and middle schools that are having some issues with kids downloading these apps and then stripping the clothes of their female classmates. And this code actually was put on GitHub in 2019, and it was supposed to be taken down, but it wasn't. So people can still continue to download this code and make it into their own apps or websites that are often integrated into other messaging platforms like Discord or Telegram.
Okay. We have many other code hosting platforms. Why is GitHub unique? What makes them different?
Yeah. GitHub is just really popular. So basically, I mean, this is like the go-to place if you are a software developer, you know GitHub inside and out. And it's a huge place for AI to develop, which is why it's also been, I guess, very popular for nefarious actors to use, because it is also open sourced, which means that people can just go on and post whatever kind of codes they want, and then anybody can collaborate with them and download them and access them. So if you think about different types of like models like OpenAI, their models aren't what we would call open source because people can't download and like replicate them. But GitHub does host open source models, and that's primarily why it's problematic. It's helping this technology be accessible to anybody and everybody.
Okay. Is GitHub taking measures to address sexually exploitative content? If so, what are they? If not, what can they do?
Yeah, so GitHub's policies are really interesting. So they do have a policy against non-consensual content, sexually explicit content, and then also for child sexual abuse material, the more apt term for child pornography. And so they do have policies against that type of content, but what they don't necessarily, or what we haven't seen, is that the content only applies to images that are posted on GitHub, which isn't a whole bunch, but this type of code should be considered content because it is helping create the content that GitHub does prohibit. So it would make sense to apply these types of policies to the codes that are creating the content that GitHub does ban. And they have removed these types of projects in the past, again, like I said earlier with Deep Nude, the apps that you've probably seen, but it made its way back on, and people can still download it, replicate it, and make it into their own, which is hugely problematic.
And how does GitHub's lack of moderation impact minors and adult users?
Yeah, so we've actually seen minors who have created their own types of codes on GitHub just for deepfake pornography and AI facilitated sexual abuse. And we actually found one where this it was a teenage boy, or that's what they said. And he first learned about it on GitHub, and then he found different types of deepfake communities on like 4chan who are also using GitHub to create deepfake pornography of others. And he just had some kind of attachment to this community, and he felt very loyal to this deepfake community. And so he continued to create these codes and post them on GitHub. But if GitHub would have either taken them down or not allowed minors to access these in the first place, then he wouldn't have been exposed to this type of technology and the community that he subsequently joined and then later left.
So how does GitHub handle content moderation?
Yeah, so they believe that developers are should be considered first before the content. So they say that any removal of one type of project would significantly affect the developer's development of more projects. But if you think about it in the reverse, the removal of these types of projects would significantly and positively impact thousands of victims, right, from who have been like affected by this technology, and by restricting it from being accessible to other people.
Now, we've sent a letter out to GitHub explaining this information and showing them the research. What are some of the actions, or what are the actions that NCOSE has requested and urged GitHub to take?
Yeah, so we would like to see GitHub apply their content policies to their code and consider the code what would be content, to remove and ban these types of repositories or projects so that people can't access or build or communicate with other malicious actors to create this type of technology on their platform. Microsoft is also part of many responsible AI initiatives, and so we'd like to see that applied to their code hosting platform as well, to restrict the construction of like deep nude websites, deepfake pornography technology, and things like that. Those are just a couple of the asks that we've had.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing all of this information with us. There's so much that for me, I didn't know. So this was very insightful and very helpful. And the biggest question that I want to ask you, and the last question, is what actions can our supporters take?
Yeah, so if you guys want to take action, you can go to our website, dirtydozenlist.com, and you can click on GitHub, which is our target for the second year, or one of our 12 targets for our Dirty Dozen list for the second year in a row. And you can go and click on the action button, and it'll email GitHub directly, asking them to ban and remove these types of projects, as well as put in important safety settings, which I forgot to mention for minors who are using their platform, because GitHub is 13 plus, and so we'd also like to see more comprehensive safeguards for users, especially minors who are using their platform. But yeah, if you guys just go to our website, you can click on that button and email GitHub directly and ask them to do those things.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we're going to go ahead and end the live. I hope that you all found this very insightful, very helpful. And again, reach out, go to the dirtydozenlist.com/GitHub, and you'll be able to take action there. Join us next week as we will be discussing another target on our 2024 Dirty Dozen.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye,
Thanks, Tori.
everybody.